What's going on, everybody? It's Amster X back with another video, another chapter review, and today we have Full Night 118. I think this arc has been amazing so far. I think you really have to trust the process with Yasuda because the Buddha arc started a little, and then you're like, oh, this was good, right? And then the connection to the Pauper Town Princess, the Pauper Town Princess arc was good, and even at first I was like, eh. It was just like, and then I don't really know what you would call the arc where I guess we could just call it the central arc where you know the central main employees wanted to get back to Antarctica, and Shinji or Akira has to step up, and gets his fingernails ripped off. Like, all these arcs are just so incredible to me, and I think this one is just no different. I think this is another beautiful arc, and I think we got another layer here, and I think the difference is with Yomiko right now. And I really don't know. Since the beginning of the series, I didn't trust her. And I just feel like I don't trust her now. And I feel like I haven't changed my point of view. And I know people, I know there really is no love interest there. And I think this chapter really kind of showed that, as much as people want them to be together. Maybe they will, but I don't see it, because I think in this chapter, and I could be reading it wrong, but I think this chapter kind of showed her motivations, because yes, she's Harai, so we learned that she's adopted, and one of the main branches of Harai, they have this access to this garden where if you get transflorid, you get to go and get placed. And they try to break in, and she, as they're about to get killed by the puppets, this ticket, or whatever you want to call the silver plate, drops, and it turns out it's a ticket to the South Pole. And she's like, what? There's no way I could have it. And she's like, but this is why it's interesting, is that why wouldn't, this so-called sister of hers wouldn't tell her that it's a ticket to the South Pole? They, you're adopted into family. She treated you like family, but you don't know anything. To me, I got from this chapter, she doesn't really know anything about her, right? So we have this ticket, supposed to go to the South Pole, and why does she, that's why I feel like we'll get into it, and we'll break this chapter down. But Toshiro just wants to be, there's a reason why they started this whole show or manga with the mother issues. He wants to be loved. He wants to be accepted. He wants to do anything. And he's dying. Look, he literally said, I'll do anything to be a part of this mission. And I think Yomiko is the type of person who will do anything, you know, for her own personal gain. And I think that's kind of shown throughout this series in small ways. I think it has been. And I think it's very clear in this arc here. So let's just get into it. So we have a ticket to the South Pole. So this is more official version, because remember, there's other ways, right? I think you can get in. I think people definitely are getting smuggled in. We got the Pauper Town. We got other ways that people are probably getting there. Just like the Central people said they thought they could get back to Antarctica. And he's saying, are you saying these are issued by Central? I don't like how Yomiko's acting dumb here. Yeah, of course they are. She's like, I'll leave that to your imagination. She's like, shh, please. Why are you screaming? Obviously, this place is a Central owned garden. It's going to be tapped. We can't speak loudly, right? And then she says, but next time, ask yourself why I'm speaking in vague terms before you blurt out something like that, assuming you hope to live a long life, right? She's like, come on, are you being serious right now? Like, you can't just yell about Central out loud. And Central is this ominous overall, just everywhere. And that's another thing that it's so underappreciated about the series, is that people love on the nose, reflective times in dystopian manners. And I think Full Night is the most reflective of the times in the most unique way possible. And it's just an underappreciated series. It's not talked about enough, doesn't get the recognition it deserves. And I think what the best part about it is that it does show the capitalism, right? It shows how Central is involved in everything, right? It in every little aspect. And it shows how even at the poor, they're like, well, I can transform myself to then, like, it's like a lottery. Like, the mindset that what they've done here is shifted. And I kind of like that they even mentioned in this chapter how this garden's been here a lot longer, and they're like, but that doesn't make sense. But it does if you think about it. I mean, obviously capitalism, and they would know if there's an impending doom coming. And in this circumstances, they know the sun is going to vanish, so they're going to start planning things in advance, right? So let's keep it going. So it says, but they're probably security here to protect the back garden. That's when they're talking about the dolls, and he says they're human, right? So this is what they're turning them into, maybe to live a little longer, right? Because they, whoever's in the back there in the back garden, he says, "Did you meet the angel?" Right? So we don't know who that is yet. Um, but she says this plate was issued by Central. As soon as they saw it, their whole demeanor changed. If this little plate has that much influence over it, that can only mean that this whole facility, the whole Tokino National Botanical Garden, is under Central's control. It's like, duh. Duh, Yomiko. We kind of figured that as soon as y'all, as soon as the chapter started and they're moving everything around and they're almost about to get killed, we could tell Central's under control here. But I love the fact that this chapter is showing you that that's why I don't know the direction of it's going to go, right? Because Central has a larger reach than we think, right? But it's also confusing to me then why like I'm feeling like there's a little bit of like you don't really need to get transflorid, Like I don't know if anybody else is feeling that. Like, do the truly elite, are they really getting transflorid? Like there's some things going on there that I'm not really sure. And then let's just keep it going. So it says, wasn't Central established as a result of the oxygen crisis? That was only 100 years ago. They said that the botanical garden has been around for 130 years. So the timeline doesn't even add up, right? But that just basically means that they've been planning this, not planning, the oxygen crisis, but they've been planning to survive this oxygen crisis for a long time. This is nothing new to them, right? It says, then maybe they took over an institution that was previously run by the government. Point is, I can't be dragging you into places like this anymore. See, the way she says that is like, it's like, it's almost like hey, I don't want you to do this, but, and then they're like, no, but I want to. And then that's why he's like, let's keep it going. He's like, you haven't even given up looking for spirit flora, right? Then use me, give me a reason to live. Look at her face. She's like, And that's when she goes into, all right. And then this is one thing about the panel that I was a little confused on. They're sitting like outside on like some playground, like some like toy, and then we zoom in on this eye. And I want to say it's a toy, and I want to say that's the same way that I think she's using Toshiro, to be honest. That was my reasoning for why are we zooming in on this toy here? That's such a weird thing, right? Why? Or we could say Central's listening, right? You could say Central's listening everywhere, or we could say she also views him as a toy, right? He said, so why does Madoka matter so much to you anyway, right? And then he says, you said you've been using your time off work to search for her. He said, what did you mean when you said she was the only person to consider to be family? Tell me the story. So look at her eyes in this story, right? Look at her eyes here. She's looking at him like, I have to figure out. And then look, she's about to start, then she stops, right? Because she's trying to get her story straight. Sorry, it was hard for me to read that. I know I make it small, but the copyright issues. I'm like, you got to avoid these copyright issues, when you upload these videos. So, but look at her eyes. Look at the way she's about to speak. She's shifty eyes. She's moving her mouth. She has a story, but she doesn't know if it's the right one to say. And I think it's because she's been lying, and let's go back to the beginning where she's like, the documents were wrong. But but everything was copied perfectly. I know her, but she's like, are you saying that I don't know her? But the reason why she said that, are you saying that I don't know her is because you don't know her, right? You didn't even know how you got the ticket. You don't even know what the ticket was. You didn't really know her. And you clearly ended on bad terms because you don't even know if you really want to tell the right, correct story, right? So something happened here where, and I actually saw on the Reddit where somebody said, it could be that she said, the wrong amount of siblings. And that would make sense because what if Madoka assumed that she was her sister, but she put down that she wasn't, because she knew that they didn't really have a close relationship. So maybe she abused Madoka. And, I think she's the type of person that wants to get ahead. That's just how I feel about her. I just never trusted her. I know people are probably gonna be like, no way, she's a good person, blah 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 blah. I just something just rubs me the wrong way, and this chapter for me proved it. She can't say it, she can't say it outright. So, and then let's just keep it going. The last panel, which furthers my point. Or no, I think that's the last panel of the chapter. Unfortunately, she just says, "Okay, let's do it." So let's just see. Yep, she just says, "Let's just do it." So, and that's how the chapter ends. She's just like, "All right," and I just feel like I don't know how she's gonna lie because I think Toshiro knows when she's lying anyway. So I think, but he's so desperate and wants to be around her and wants her validation that he will accept any lie regardless. So I think that's the sad part. But I don't really know where the story's gonna go because I'm still so confused on this Antarctica and the like it can't be the end all be all, right? There's more forces at work, and I like that they added the branch, this garden, because there are more forces at work. Because why can't people just go to Antarctica, right? You know, who else is guarding it? What else is keeping it such a impossible place to get to? And the reason why I also say that is because look at the Centel guards that were working in the main office with Akira. They were they were trying so hard to get there for years, and he knew that they were never getting back. So who are the people there, right? So once you leave, you can't go back. So if this Harai family, so take that in consideration. If the Harai family, even though she was a branch, is outside, then who's really allowed there? That's kind of what I'm trying to figure out where and I get there's other forces that are trying to take this stuff down, but I don't know. It's so hard the story to piece all the different motivations and the branches together, right? Because are people also are people wanting Antarctica to survive? Like, do we need it to happen? Like because they're trying to start another political movement, but for what, right? If it's ultimately going to get owned by Centel, Central. So I feel like Centel better, honestly. I don't know why, but that's all I got for you. I need some theories. I need some thoughts. Let me know what you guys think below. I know a lot of this was just me hating on Yomiko. Sorry, but I just don't trust her. All right, Amster out.